Hello everybody! As promised, here is another pickle video. This time we're going to be making bread and butter pickles. These are my personal favorite. If I'm actually going to eat a pickle, which doesn't happen very often, it's going to be a bread and butter. Okay, so I'm going to do this kind of a little differently than I did last time, and it's going to be all sped up the whole time because I kind of talked through some of the parts last time, so you're going to get more insight this time on different pieces. Obviously, same process as all of my pickle making goes the exact same way, just the mix is different. So you're going to cut the cucumbers up. Remember, keep them cold. Remember to keep them in water even after you slice them. Shove them back in that water. This is going to be a massive batch. This is actually going to be a full recipe, which means we're going to have pretty much all of the mix used in this time of canning. And I apologize for the scowl that I'm wearing in this. I was doing about 12 other things while I knew I needed to get this done because cucumbers pretty much only last in the fridge for about a week. So I was kind of at that limit of I had to get it done. Otherwise, I'd lose an entire batch of cucumbers. Like I've said before, that the hardest part about doing this method of cutting and preparing the cucumbers for making pickles is there gets to a point where you kind of run out of space and you get confused. That's why I pulled them all out like that. Alright, so like I said, bread and butter pickles, same thing. I'm still using this as wages, guys. It's not that complicated. This recipe is a bit different than the Polish dill, as in there's no water added. But it's going to be a lot of sugar. So you've got about 7 cups of sugar we're going to be dumping in there. And then the mix packet, obviously. One thing that I have found that if you mix it like those two things together prior to adding any of the vinegar, it just works out better. And then you're going to add the vinegar. 7 2/3 cups of vinegar is going to dump in there. And you're going to have to stand here and stir this and stir this and stir this until everything is dissolved and it has gone pretty much clear. It takes about 20 minutes. And this whole time you're slowly bringing it up to temperature. It takes a while, but that's the way it works. Because you're pretty much making a syrup that is also a brining liquid, or a pickling liquid, not a brining liquid, a pickling liquid. So it's a syrup and a pickling liquid all kind of rolled into one. see, it takes a long time, like a really long time. It's starting to clear up. About 20 minutes later, give or take, it's going to almost be to that point where you get the little tiny bubbles around the outside. It's cleared up. Look how clear that is now. Isn't that fabulous? Told you, it doesn't take long at all. Only 20 minutes of your life standing and stirring a pot. Okay, let's fill some jars. I didn't give you guys a very good view of this last time. I apologize. So here's going to be a little bit more of a better view of the jars filling, as well as I'm going to walk you through it a little bit more. So when you're packing these jars, you have to pack them tight. And when I mean tight, I mean like crazy tight. I'm pretty good at it, so I don't tend to have to repack jars too often. Usually every time I make pickles, it's usually once every time. Keep that 1/4 to 1/2 inch headspace. I try to basically not fill the pickles past the bottom where the ring sits on the jar, so that bottom kind of bump out there. As long as the pickles are below that, you shouldn't have any explosions and everything should be hunky-dory. Remember, I use super hot water, so I don't have to sterilize my jars in like a boiling water. It's actually, my water is hot enough to sterilize. I don't know the exact temperature of what it's supposed to be at. The only thing I remember is that we tested it once and it's hot enough to sterilize, so that's why we do it this way. Believe it or not, packing the jars is actually my favorite part of making pickles. I love this part because it's kind of a game almost. You're trying to figure out how many of these pickles you can squeeze into one jar, or how many of these cucumbers you can squeeze into one jar, and then it kind of goes from there. Wondering what I'm doing, I actually have the canner sitting off to the side. I'm just transferring some of the water just to make life easier. Okay, so when it gets to about the point where you're almost done, I usually drain the water off. That way you're not fishing as much because you only got like 1 or 2 more jars to fill in. Notice I put the lids in the hot water so that they're going. Once I get those guys filled, then Brandon and I are going to start doing the part that really works well when you have 2 people. Unfortunately, I have a feeling this is the last time he's going to be helping me can. All the tomato products, I have a feeling, are going to be on me this year, since he was home for so long in June. So now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just pulling the tops off of things, and that way I can fill a full jar. It's a little low, but it's not bad. Alright, so there you have it. It really helps having Brandon be doing this because it just speeds the process up when you have so many jars. When it's only like enough for like 1 round of canning, like between like 5 and 8 and 7 jars, it's not bad because you can kind of fill them all at once and do it all at once. But when you're working on 15 plus jars, it's a production line. little bit of a problem. I ran out of pickling liquid. So we had to think about it, and what we did was we ended up getting, what did we end up getting? More vinegar and adding it. Ended up working. So what I did was I put a little bit of the original liquid in every single one, that way each of them has the sugar. Us debating about how to fix the problem. And he's like, well, just dump some water in there. And I'm like, there's no water in this pickling mix. So he's like, well, put the vinegar. So we're going to try something new for canning this time around for the processing part. Brandon wanted to try to keep some of the heat out of the house. So he's got this outdoor propane burner thing that I was a little leery on. I'm going to admit it. I'm going to admit it for y'all to hear. He was right. It worked. I was very worried about this because I felt like they were like off balance. Thing I didn't know. But it was really nice to not have the heat of running the canners in the house. So with this one, we ran 2 canners at once because we ended up having to do 3 rounds. So we had 2 and then we had 1 more is what ended up happening. Yes, this is a propane burner. So there are it's a 2-burner propane stove basically. I'm not exactly sure where he found it. It's one of those things that he's collected, I'm sure. But this was totally him this time around. I have since used it. I get it. I understand. Brandon, you're right. Announcing it to the world. So this was our like first creation of how to set this up, which worked out pretty well. So the same thing, you put them in, wait till it boils. Once it boils, then it's 14 minutes until you pull them from boil. And I'm not talking little baby boil. I'm like full rolling boil. It's 14 minutes from full rolling boil. Obviously, it's really hard to catch it right at the way. So like if you realize it's probably been boiling for a couple minutes prior to you looking at it, just knock that time down to like 12 minutes or something like that. Or do the full 14. It's not going to hurt them. I promise. It's better to do longer than shorter. So once you're going to get them done, obviously you're going to pull them. This is the end of the second canner pulling out, and then Brandon's going to get the third round of canning going. So as you can see, all of the now pickles, they're not cucumbers anymore, they're not pickles, have kind of floated up. That is natural. That is what happens. There is a way to kind of reverse that a little bit, which is why you pack them in so tight, for one. But you're just going to have to wait. I haven't decided if I'm going to give that secret away yet. Okay, so now he's gonna go actually get the, he realized that he probably better move the camera. I was actually gone. I had to go do a meeting, so he was doing this for me while I was not here. Thank you very much. So he's pulling the last round of pickles out. So as you can see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, there's 14. Looks like. All right. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 jars. So 17 bread and butter. We're done with this round. 15 is pretty much the limit of what one mix does, but you can stretch it to 17. You can't stretch it past 17. So if you have enough to do that many jars, you probably should do 2 mixes and then just divide it in half, basically, and then you'll have extra for the next time. All right, so basically, there you have it. That is bread and butter pickles. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I hope to hear from you. What else do you guys want to see me do? Or what do you want me to explain more? Let me know. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.